Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. We are out at Dove Mountain. We're in Tucson. We're with Jose, one of our favorite guests on the channel.
It's great to be here, buddy.
Thanks for doing this with us. We're pretty excited. This is some pretty good looking stuff. I would say the last 3 years when we've tested your new drivers, we usually have a pretty good time. We usually get some of our fastest ball speed, so it's probably one of the ones that me and Ian always look forward to testing.
We've enjoyed being in your driver thing, the shootout, and doing well, so thanks for that. Yeah,
No, it's our pleasure. So take us through, we're going to do a bunch of videos today, which is fun. We got lots of different fitting sessions to do, lots of different tests. We're going to start out with kind of like a little fit for me. We're going to try all 3 heads, get some numbers, talk about the difference between the 3 of them, but kind of give us a little taste of what we did this morning, talk about the product versus last year's, and just give people an idea of what to expect from this.
Absolutely. So in 2022, we're going to have 3 different heads.
Right.
And it helps with different types of golfers. So we got Matt here. Everybody knows Matt's a pretty good swinger of the golf club, and what we're going to do is take him on a tour of the 3 heads. We have 3 very different ones. We have one that's made for a better player and lower spin, right? Should be sounding good to you.
Right.
We have one that's called a Max, an LTDx Max, and the Max has max forgiveness and max draw built in. We're going to see what that does to your game. And then we have one in the middle, which we're actually going to start with today. It's the ultimate blend of low spin and speed and max forgiveness. So this is called the LTDx. We call it the unicorn.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it's going to be perfect with you, just knowing you for a few years, but I think it's a good place to start, and we're going to take a tour of what the different heads do for you.
Awesome. So the Max is kind of just for people's reference. Last year you had the XB, which is sort of the most forgiving
Extreme
model.
back, yep.
Now you've kind of introduced the X as sort of, and you mentioned it was the unicorn, but it's kind of something that wasn't around last year. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
The Rad was the low spin model. You actually do have a separate LS model this year, and the X is kind of the one that you're expecting people to see, just great launch conditions, unless they really need their spin to come down.
Exactly. So we're able to take the XB and XD from last year and make them into one driver. We're calling that LTDx Max.
Gotcha.
So when we have the LS model, for those people who played Rad last year, you're going to play an LTD LS, low spin. So this brand new model, it made room for something.
Yeah.
And we were able to create a new chassis, a new face, and a bunch of new things to put into this head that actually keep it at a 0 CGNA, means low spin speed, with the forgiveness of the Max.
So the LTD came out in 2016 or 2017?
2016.
And that was, I think, kind of a cult following. I know Bryson's got quite a liking for it. You kind of brought that concept back into this, but you've sort of added what you developed with Speed Zone and also with Rad. Is that fair to say? Like you kind of blended those 3 seasons of technology?
Speed Zone Extreme and Rad XB were very forgiving versions of those better player drivers. And what we said, it was weird, right? You could either pick a fast driver, not so forgiving, or a forgiving driver, not so fast. And our engineers took that battle on, and we were able to create something that's a blend of both of those. And that's what we're going to start with today.
So let's start with the X. Let's start getting some numbers, and then we can kind of chat through the rest of the stuff as we go.
Sure, absolutely. Let me get out of your way.
So footprint-wise, is it fair to say that this X is kind of like the Rad from last year in terms of what people will see at address?
I would say it's about 1 millimeter longer front to back.
Gotcha.
Than the Rad, because the Rad is the smaller head. Versus XB last year, this is actually a little bit more compact.
Gotcha. Yeah, that looks really good at address. The Infinity face is a little bit different. It doesn't come over the top this year.
The Infinity face has been streamlined at the top, helping us a little bit with aero. But we still have the Infinity face around the perimeter, so that's still there. What do you think? Do you like the way it looks this year?
I like the look of it a lot. I think I like the satin. You mentioned it was not fully flat.
Yeah.
And obviously you do have a gloss model, but this being kind of the flatter version, it looks great. It's very kind of easy to align, but I think most people these days prefer a little bit of a clean look, right?
Oh, that's a good starting first shot, isn't it?
It felt pretty good. One thing I always like when we do this with you is I can see exactly where I struck it on that face.
Why don't you tell everybody where you hit that one?
A little bit in the heel. Not bad though, like within the circle, but little in the heel.
Little in the heel means probably a little bit of spin, right? And I think you and I saw a little bit of rise there, but not excessive. Oh, that was flatter.
That's the one.
That was pretty nice there.
That felt really good.
Wow.
Strike a little more towards the center there.
There you go. 174 ball speed, Matty. That's a little bit on the high side for you, right?
So we were chatting before, like we probably hit, what, 10 shots to loosen up? And you asked, like, what are your numbers like? And usually Ian and I will, kind of the first video of the day, try not to do driver because I like to get loosened up a bit. But generally, if I can get up to 174 after sort of, 50, 60 shots, I'm happy with it. So quickly talk to me about the sound, because I would say you gave us a little kind of teaser last night when we were at Topgolf, and you said, like, look out for the sound today versus last year's. I like that sound quite a bit.
Our engineers, with as much carbon fiber as we're using, we have enough in there to kind of diffuse sound and yet still bring it up. We like to think of it as the sound of a baseball bat, a wooden baseball bat hitting the golf ball. That kind of sound. It's not quite as soft as LTD, probably around F9 range. You remember that driver?
Yeah, F9 sounded great.
That was a great sounding driver, but a lot softer than what SZ and Rad Speed were.
I think people will notice a little bit more muted tone, but it still sounds quite, you know, it sounds like you smashed one for sure. It's a little low in the face.
That was a little low in the face, but you know what?
The ball's going very straight,
interesting
though,
is very stable, even though we have a little bit of a crosswind. I like how stable it is.
I'd be happy with that on the golf course. Like, we get, obviously on our channel, we get very much into the numbers. We want to optimize it, but on the course, you're going to miss hit some. For as low as I hit that in the face,
that was
just be very happy with kind of how the flight took off.
I think you guys know, when you get on the golf course, you have 14 drives you're going to hit. There's going to be variables, variances in you. When you hit a pure one, that's the one you're happy with. But what's important for guys that are really good golfers is, are their mishits usable? Are they serviceable? Can you really still play with that? And I think that one was a good example of what we would say a good miss.
Definitely. Well, you showed us that chart. So the original LTD, sort of the low spin, high ball speed, high launch factor was, you know, in your development, one of your best. MOI was probably not nearly as high as you achieved in the last 2 years. Now you've brought that MOI back up to where those, you know, original drivers were, kept the speed. I mean, I'm definitely feeling the same amount of stability, but like, it's coming off fast.
So we're going to make a small change.
Okay, so what did we change just
now?
So
what we did here is put it in the same loft, but in the draw setting. So we saw your balls, they're pretty straight, but what we remember, one of our pastimes together, we put you in the draw setting, and it was quite a pretty good ball flight. So let's just see what happens here. Oh, that was pretty nice.
Looked like the face got a little more square there.
Face got square, but I like the trajectory of it. It wasn't too high and spinny.
It got really through the wind.
And yet it wasn't too low.
Yeah, I like that you can mess around with a bit of a draw setting, but as I said, if you hadn't told me you had changed it, I don't think I would have noticed.
That's the whole key, right? We make a simple hosel system. It doesn't have a lot of adjustability to it, plus or minus 1.5 degrees, and 3 settings of upright, but it allows you to have face angles that are easy to look at. That's going to be low.
That's a nice flight on that. A little thin, but felt pretty good.
Let's change this one out. So definitely right away with this driver, one thing we're seeing here is that there is definitely a left to right movement.
Yes.
Right? Wow.
Yeah, it's cool. It definitely, you can sort of see the start line's similar, but it's got a little bit more shape on it.
That's definitely there. Why don't we change this one out and just want to see it?
Sure.
We're gonna try and move that weight around.
It's moving.
That was pretty nice.
Yeah, that's nice shape.
That had some speed to it.
That's a little better.
Wow.
That feels really nice.
So you notice the sound is very similar
I was literally just going to say that to you. It doesn't sound like, before I remember the bigger heads versus the smaller head, there was somewhat of a disparity there. These are very similar sounding.
As you increase the size of a head, there's more flat area, and that's when you get into the sound problems. And then depending where you move the weight forward or back, that also can make some sound challenges. The engineers have done a really good job this year of mitigating all those changes, and it sounds really soft, even from different head to head, different setups.
Well, I think that's nice, because then people won't, they won't make a fitting preference based on sound. They won't say, I like the sound of that one, I want to play that.
This is all about picking the right head that matches you. So,
all right, so into the LS. This is different. Like, I really like the look of this. I think people will not realize that an LS model is going to have 2 weights in the front like that. And the most interesting thing I found from the presentation this morning is it comes standard. They're not the same weight. Like, it's a little bit more in the heel, is that right?
So what we've done different than last year is we took what was front back weight and put it in front. And that gives a guy like you the opportunity to dial in. And so this weight is in the heel right now. That's what we call neutral. If you need a fade bias, we move the weight to the toe. And if you need a little bit of draw, we change the hosel.
Gotcha.
But right now we're just putting it in standard. This is a 9-degree LS head. and we're going to take a look at it here.
Okay. To me, it looks like the best one I've hit.
That was a great first swing.
That felt really good. Ooh.
So now, just so all of you out there know, we could have went straight here and got him done, but we're trying to show you the range of
Absolutely,
the videos.
yeah.
Because we all talked about what we think that's going to be, but
Maybe a little better.
wow,
That came up really nice.
that was hot.
This feels really good, this one.
So let's tell the group, you know, the address size of it is more the standard shape.
Yes.
Doesn't look too small, right?
No, to be honest, this is probably the best kind of shape I've ever seen you guys make. I liked F9 as well, but I think this is a little bit more rounded and symmetrical to me.
LTDx.
Well, that's the
like
thing.
an LTD, right?
So many people liked LTD, and I think tons of people watching will go, I hung on to my LTD.
Right.
And I know Bryson kind of hung on to his LTD, and I think they're going to look at this and go like, I really like what this looks like.
And both Ricky and Bryson were very instrumental in shaping this.
Yes.
So subtle changes, not a huge departure from Rad, but just some subtleties there. What do you think about the? I noticed some difference in sound. What do you think about the sound?
I liked it a lot. Is it a little bit different pitch than the other two?
It's a little more solid sounding even than the other two, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I liked all three of them, but I would say this is probably the closest to my own personal preference would be this one. Yeah.
Well, let's bash another one. Let's see what we get. Well, that's a rocket too.
I mean, this thing
That's
is something
perfect
else.
window right there.
That's like three of the better drives I've seen kind of in a couple of years. So talk to me about, the very fast player. Is it fair to say that all things being equal, this should be a hair faster for them ball speed wise?
So this aerodynamic shape is something that Kyle and Bryson have been prototyping for us this whole year.
Okay.
You know they use lower lofted heads.
Yes.
And with that carries their speed and everything. So we took the chance and started shaping them differently, preparing for this head.
Right.
And this is one of the shapes that they've been doing. It's raised crown, raised skirt, raised aft, very aerodynamic,
right.
Softened even leading edges. This face height is not as deep
it looks,
some of the older drivers.
The face height looks really good.
It's very aerodynamic, and I mean, you jump from 174 to 177, 178. That's some pretty good jump right there.
And we chatted off camera about like when you kind of get into a comfort zone with one of the three heads, if you're in a fit, you'll probably notice that you'll jump your speed up a little bit.
Sure,
just
you feel comfortable.
Comfort and confidence.
You're going to go after it a little bit.
Okay. I mean, it's as fast as I've had ball speeds in a while. Okay, what do you think? You get me one more chance?
One more chance.
I mean, the flights on this have...
Well, I mean, they were definitely the most consistent.
Easily.
Right? Your spin came down. We started in 2,700, 2,800. We went up to 29 a little bit.
Which is good to see. Like, I like that the heads do different things.
Then we de-lofted and got it to 23, but we put you in a standard 9-degree loft here, and it's up and it's spinning low, which is great, right?
That's awesome, Jose. Well, I would say last year's Rad, we got some crazy fast numbers, which I know we always get in with you.
Right.
But this is the most comfortable I've been with your lower spin model. So generally, Ian and I will film, as I said, we get good ones like that, but it's never 5 in a row, because what happens is, for me, I used to catch them a little high in the face, and I would go, okay, it's good, but I'm not spinning the ball enough. I think whatever you've done, obviously the CG is different this year. It looked like the ball was coming out of a really kind of consistent window, so.
Really love the type pattern you have there. They're all inside the circle.
I love that you can see the...
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if everyone would love it if the strike's all over the place. I might be a bit embarrassed if I start hitting him everywhere, but it's good. Like,
but what was interesting is when we hit the X earlier, you had a couple that were in the heel.
Yes, they were.
A little bit low.
More down
and
here.
And guess what? We noticed that the stability of the driver, which we're trying to build into them, held it so that they were all very playable. And that's a big piece of the story, too.
It really is.
It isn't always just about the best we can be, because we're going to get there. But there are days when golf is kind of hard.
I know.
And to have a little bit of stability is there. But from what I see in these three heads, this low spin version is the right one for you. I can't wait for you to take this home and tinker around a little bit, find the perfect shaft for you, and we'll see it up going in the head-to-head competition.
Well, we'll have the master fitter when I get back home. I'm sure Ian is going to be super excited to dive into this. I sent him a couple messages last night, just kind of saying, like, I think you're really going to like the look of this. So, as you said, when we get back, more to come. More to come with you today, though. We're going to spend a bit more time together.
For sure.
Okay.
Look forward to it.
All right. Thanks, Jose. Guys, we'll see you again soon.